Have you ever noticed how certain foods just seem to sit differently in your body as the years go by? Maybe it's that bloated feeling after a big meal, or the fatigue that lingers longer than it used to. If you've ever wondered why some people stay vibrant well into their later years, while others struggle with health issues, you're not alone. Aging is a natural part of life, but it doesn't mean we have to accept declining health as inevitable. In fact, science shows us that what we eat plays a huge role in how our bodies function as we get older, especially when it comes to our kidneys. Before we dive in, I want to make one thing crystal clear. This video is for informational purposes only and is based on publicly available research. Everyone's health is different, so always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your lifestyle, diet, or exercise routine. Scientific knowledge is always evolving, and what works for one person may not work for another. Got it? Great! Let's move forward. So here's the deal. Our kidneys are like the unsung heroes of our bodies. They filter out waste, balance fluids, and even help regulate blood pressure. But as we age, they naturally become less efficient. Add in poor dietary choices, and you've got a recipe for trouble. According to research from the National Kidney Foundation, chronic kidney disease affects about 37 million Americans, many of whom don't even realize they have it until it's advanced. The good news? Small changes in what you eat can make a world of difference. Let me start with something most of us love, a nice, juicy steak. Now, don't get me wrong, protein is essential for maintaining muscle mass and overall health, especially as we age. But too much red meat can be tough on your kidneys. Why? Because it's high in saturated fats and produces more urea, a waste product that your kidneys have to work extra hard to filter out. A study published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that people who consumed large amounts of red meat had a higher risk of developing kidney problems over time. So what's the takeaway? Moderation is key. Swap out some of those steaks for leaner proteins like chicken, fish, or plant-based options like beans and lentils. Now let's talk about something else that's pretty common in most households, salt. Oh, salt. It's everywhere, isn't it? From chips to soups, it sneaks into so many of our favorite foods. And while a little salt is fine, too much can wreak havoc on your kidneys. When you consume excess sodium, your body holds onto water to dilute it, which increases the workload on your kidneys. Over time, this can lead to high blood pressure, a major risk factor for kidney damage. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day, about a teaspoon, but many of us are eating way more than that without even realizing it. One simple trick: start reading labels. You'd be surprised at how much hidden sodium is lurking in processed foods. Try swapping salty snacks for fresh fruits or veggies instead. Trust me, your kidneys will thank you. Here's another one that might surprise you: soda. I know, it's refreshing, especially on a hot day. But sodas, especially colas, are loaded with phosphoric acid, which can harm your kidneys over time. A study from Japan found that people who drank 2 or more colas a day had a significantly higher risk of developing chronic kidney disease compared to those who avoided them altogether. And it's not just the phosphoric acid. Sugary sodas can also contribute to obesity and diabetes, both of which put extra strain on your kidneys. So what's a better option? Sparkling water with a splash of lemon or lime can give you that fizzy fix without the harmful effects. Now, I want to pause for a moment because I know some of you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but where do I even begin? That's totally normal. Change can feel overwhelming, especially when it comes to something as personal as food. But here's the thing, you don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start small. Maybe swap out one soda for sparkling water this week. Or try having a meatless Monday once a week. Little steps add up over time, and they can make a big difference in how you feel. Speaking of feeling good, let's keep going, because there's so much more to uncover. We've talked about red meat, salt, and soda, but there are other foods that could be quietly harming your kidneys without you even realizing it. Are you ready to learn more? Stick around, because next, we'll explore how everyday staples like bread, canned goods, and even certain vegetables can impact your kidney health, and how you can make smarter choices moving forward. So we've talked about red meat, salt, and soda. foods that many of us enjoy but that can take a toll on our kidneys over time. But here's the thing, it doesn't stop there. Some of the most common items in our pantries might also be quietly contributing to kidney strain, even if they seem harmless at first glance. Take bread, for example. It's a staple in so many households, right? Whether it's toast in the morning, a sandwich for lunch, or a slice alongside soup, bread is everywhere. But did you know that many types of bread are surprisingly high in sodium? Just one slice can contain as much as 200 milligrams of sodium, and if you're eating a couple of slices a day, that adds up quickly. For someone with already compromised kidney function, this extra sodium can lead to fluid retention and increased blood pressure. The good news? There are lower sodium options out there, like whole grain or sprouted breads. They're not only easier on your kidneys, but also packed with nutrients that support overall health. Now let's talk about canned goods. I'll admit, I used to stock up on canned soups and vegetables because they're convenient and budget-friendly. But then I started paying closer attention to the labels, and what I found was eye-opening. Many canned foods are loaded with sodium to help preserve them and enhance flavor. For instance, a single serving of canned soup can contain more than half of the daily recommended sodium intake. That's a lot for your kidneys to handle, especially if you're eating these foods regularly. A simple solution? Opt for low sodium or no salt added versions when possible. Or better yet, make your own soups and freeze them in portions. It's a bit more work up front, but your body will thank you in the long run. Here's another one that might surprise you: pickled foods. Pickles, sauerkraut, kimchi, they're delicious and even have some health benefits thanks to their probiotics. But they're also extremely high in sodium due to the brining process. If you're someone who loves snacking on pickles or adding them to sandwiches, it's worth being mindful of how often you're indulging. Moderation is key here. Maybe instead of having pickles every day, save them for special occasions or pair them with lower sodium foods to balance things out. And then there are certain vegetables, believe it or not, that can be tricky for kidney health if you're not careful. Spinach, beets, and Swiss chard are all nutrient powerhouses, full of vitamins and antioxidants. But they're also high in potassium, which can be problematic for people with kidney issues. Healthy kidneys regulate potassium levels in the body, but when kidney function declines, too much potassium can build up and cause serious problems like heart arrhythmias. This doesn't mean you need to avoid these veggies entirely, though. If your doctor hasn't flagged potassium as a concern for you, they're still excellent choices. But if you do have kidney concerns, it's worth discussing with your healthcare provider whether you need to limit high potassium foods. You might be wondering, how am I supposed to keep track of all this? It's a valid question, and honestly, it can feel overwhelming at first. But here's the secret: focus on progress, not perfection. Start by identifying 1 or 2 areas where you can make small changes. Maybe it's swapping out regular bread for a lower sodium option. Or perhaps it's cutting back on how often you reach for canned goods. These little adjustments may not seem like much, but over time, they can add up to big improvements in your health. I remember talking to a friend of mine, Margaret, who shared her experience with making dietary changes. She'd been diagnosed with early-stage kidney issues and was feeling frustrated about what she could and couldn't eat. At first, she thought she'd have to give up everything she loved, but her doctor helped her see that it wasn't about deprivation, it was about balance. She started by cutting back on processed foods and experimenting with new recipes using fresh ingredients. Over time, she noticed she had more energy and felt less bloated. She told me, "It wasn't easy at first, but now I actually prefer the way I'm eating. It feels good to take care of myself." Margaret's story reminds me that change is possible, no matter where you're starting from. And speaking of change, there's still more to explore. We've covered bread, canned goods, pickled foods, and certain vegetables, but there are other culprits that might be lurking in your diet without you realizing it. Things like sugary snacks, processed meats, and even some so-called healthy beverages can contribute to kidney strain if you're not careful. Curious to learn more? Let's keep going, because understanding these connections is the first step toward protecting your health for the long haul. Take something as simple as breakfast cereal, for example. It's quick, convenient, and often marketed as a healthy choice. But many cereals are loaded with added sugars and sodium, both of which can put extra stress on your kidneys. A study from Harvard University found that diets high in added sugars were associated with an increased risk of kidney disease. The sneaky part? You might not even realize how much sugar you're consuming because it's hidden under names like high fructose corn syrup or maltodextrin. The fix? Look for cereals with minimal added sugars, ideally less than 5 grams per serving, and check the sodium content while you're at it. Or better yet, swap cereal for something like oatmeal topped with fresh fruit. It's just as easy but far better for your kidneys. Processed meats are another big one to watch out for. Think bacon, hot dogs, sausages, and deli meats. They're often packed with sodium, preservatives, and nitrates, all of which can harm your kidneys over time. In fact, research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association linked high consumption of processed meats to an increased risk of chronic kidney disease. If you're someone who loves a ham sandwich or a plate of bacon with breakfast, consider cutting back or finding healthier alternatives. Grilled chicken, turkey breast, or plant-based proteins like chickpeas can be just as satisfying without the added risks. And then there are those so-called healthy beverages like store-bought smoothies or sports drinks. They sound great in theory. After all, they're marketed as refreshing and nutritious, but many of them are loaded with sugar and artificial additives. For example, a large smoothie from a popular chain can contain upwards of 50 grams of sugar, which is more than double the daily recommended limit. Sports drinks, often marketed as hydration solutions, are similarly high in sugar and electrolytes, which can overload your kidneys if consumed in excess. Instead, stick to water, herbal teas, or homemade smoothies where you control the ingredients. Your kidneys and your waistline will thank you. You might be thinking, this is a lot to think about. And you're absolutely right. It can feel like there's a minefield of potential pitfalls in the grocery store. But here's the encouraging part. You don't have to tackle everything at once. Focus on one area at a time. Maybe this week, you decide to switch to a lower sodium bread. Next week, you try making your own soup instead of buying canned. Small, consistent changes are the key to long-term success. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making better choices whenever you can. As we wrap up this part of the conversation, I want to leave you with a thought. Every bite you take is either helping or harming your kidneys. It's a powerful idea, isn't it? The choices we make today can shape how we feel tomorrow. So, are you ready to take the next step? Stick around, because we're going to dive deeper into how everyday habits, beyond just food, can impact your kidney health. From hydration to managing stress, we'll uncover practical tips to help you stay vibrant and energized as you age. As we continue this journey together, let's shift our focus a bit. We've talked about foods like bread, canned goods, processed meats, and sugary drinks, things that can quietly harm your kidneys if you're not careful. But here's the truth. What you eat is just one piece of the puzzle. Staying hydrated, managing stress, and even how much sleep you get all play a role in protecting your kidneys as you age. It's all connected, and understanding these connections can help you make smarter choices for your long-term health. Let's start with something so simple, yet so often overlooked: water. You've probably heard it a million times: drink more water. But do you know why hydration is especially important for your kidneys? Your kidneys are like filters, constantly working to remove waste and toxins from your bloodstream. But they need enough water to do their job effectively. If you're dehydrated, your kidneys have to work harder, which can lead to kidney stones or even infections over time. A study from the National Institutes of Health found that people who consistently drank enough water had a lower risk of developing chronic kidney disease compared to those who didn't. So how much water should you aim for? While everyone's needs are different, a good rule of thumb is to drink when you're thirsty and pay attention to the color of your urine. It should be light yellow. If it's dark, that's a sign you might need to hydrate more. Now here's a twist. Sometimes drinking too much water can also be an issue, especially if you have certain kidney conditions. For example, if you have advanced kidney disease, your doctor might recommend limiting fluid intake. This is why it's so important to talk to your healthcare provider about what's right for you. They can help you find the sweet spot that keeps your kidneys happy without overwhelming them. Speaking of staying balanced, let's talk about stress. I know, stress seems like it belongs in a conversation about mental health, not kidney health. But here's the thing. Chronic stress can wreak havoc on your entire body, including your kidneys. When you're stressed, your body releases hormones like cortisol, which can raise blood pressure and increase inflammation. Over time, this added strain can damage your kidneys. A study published in the Journal of Hypertension found that people with high levels of stress were more likely to develop kidney problems later in life. So what can you do? Find ways to manage stress that work for you. Whether it's taking a daily walk, practicing deep breathing exercises, or spending time with loved ones, small moments of calm can make a big difference. I'll never forget a story my neighbor told me about how she turned her health around. Her name is Helen, and she's in her late 60s. A few years ago, she was diagnosed with high blood pressure, which put her at risk for kidney issues. At first, she felt overwhelmed by all the changes she needed to make. But instead of trying to overhaul her life overnight, she started small. She began each morning with a cup of herbal tea and a few minutes of meditation. She swapped out her afternoon coffee for a brisk walk around the block. And she made it a point to connect with friends regularly, whether it was over the phone or during a weekly card game. Slowly but surely, her blood pressure came down, and her overall energy improved. She told me, it wasn't one big change, it was a lot of little ones. And now I feel better than I have in years. Helen's story is a great reminder that progress doesn't have to be dramatic to be effective. Sometimes, it's the smallest shifts that lead to the biggest results. And speaking of shifts, let's talk about sleep. How many of you out there struggle with getting a good night's rest? If you're tossing and turning more often than you'd like, you're not alone. Sleep issues become more common as we age, but poor sleep isn't just frustrating. It can also impact your kidneys. Research from the University of Illinois suggests that people who don't get enough quality sleep are at a higher risk of developing kidney problems. Why? Because sleep is when your body repairs itself, including your kidneys. Without adequate rest, your kidneys can't function at their best. So, what can you do to improve your sleep? Start by creating a relaxing bedtime routine. Maybe it's reading a book, listening to calming music, or sipping a cup of caffeine-free tea. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet, and try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. These small habits can signal to your body that it's time to wind down, making it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Another factor to consider is alcohol. A glass of wine with dinner or a beer while watching TV might seem harmless, but excessive alcohol consumption can take a toll on your kidneys. Alcohol is a diuretic, which means it makes you urinate more frequently. This can lead to dehydration, forcing your kidneys to work overtime. Plus, heavy drinking is linked to high blood pressure, another major risk factor for kidney damage. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, moderate drinking is defined as up to 1 drink per day for women and up to 2 drinks per day for men. If you're someone who enjoys a drink now and then, that's fine, but it's worth being mindful of how much you're consuming. Now let's circle back to something I mentioned earlier, mindset. All of these changes, whether it's drinking more water, managing stress, or improving your sleep, require a shift in how you think about your health. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, I'm too old to start making changes now. But science shows us that it's never too late to take control of your health. A study from Mayo Clinic Proceedings followed adults aged 60 and older who adopted healthier lifestyle habits, like eating nutritious foods, staying active, and managing stress. The results were remarkable. Participants experienced significant improvements in their overall well-being, regardless of their starting point. That's proof that no matter where you are in life, small steps forward can lead to meaningful results. As we wrap up this part of the conversation, I want to leave you with a challenge. Think about one area of your life where you can make a small change today. Maybe it's swapping out a sugary beverage for water. Maybe it's setting aside 5 minutes to breathe deeply and relax. Or maybe it's simply committing to go to bed 15 minutes earlier tonight. Whatever it is, take that step. Progress doesn't happen overnight, but every little bit counts. And guess what? We're not done yet. There's still more to explore, including how staying socially engaged and maintaining a positive outlook can support your kidney health and your overall well-being as you age. Stick around, because we're going to finish strong with some final tips and words of encouragement. As we near the end of our conversation today, I want to take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered so far. We've talked about foods like red meat, salt, soda, processed meats, and even seemingly harmless staples like bread and canned goods, how they can quietly strain your kidneys if you're not mindful. We've explored the importance of hydration, stress management, sleep, and even how alcohol can impact your kidney health. And through it all, one thing has become crystal clear: small, consistent changes can make a world of difference in how you feel as you age. But here's the part that often gets overlooked when we talk about aging and health: your mindset. It's easy to focus solely on the physical aspects of wellness, but emotional and social well-being are just as important. Studies from institutions like Harvard University show that staying socially engaged can have a profound impact on both mental and physical health. Loneliness and isolation, on the other hand, are linked to higher risks of chronic conditions, including kidney disease. So, what does this mean for you? It means staying connected matters. Whether it's joining a book club, volunteering in your community, or simply calling a friend once a week, these connections nourish not just your heart, but your body too. I'll never forget my Aunt Gloria, who turned 80 last year. She's one of the most vibrant people I know, and she credits her energy and sharp mind to staying active in her community. Every Saturday, she meets up with a group of friends for coffee and conversation. She also volunteers at a local library, helping kids learn to read. When I asked her secret to aging well, she smiled and said, "It's simple. I surround myself with people who lift me up." Her story is a powerful reminder that taking care of your health isn't just about what you eat or how much you exercise. It's also about nurturing your relationships and finding joy in the everyday moments. Now, let's bring this back to you. What lights you up? What makes you feel alive and connected? Maybe it's gardening, painting, dancing, or spending time with your grandkids. Whatever it is, make time for it. Science shows us that having a sense of purpose and passion can actually extend your lifespan. A study from The Lancet followed older adults over several years and found that those who reported having a strong sense of purpose were less likely to develop chronic illnesses, including kidney disease. Isn't that incredible? Your passions and hobbies aren't just fun, they're good for your health. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with some final thoughts. Aging doesn't mean losing control of your health. It means taking charge of it in smarter, more intentional ways. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Start small. Swap out one salty snack for something fresh. Add an extra glass of water to your day. Take a few minutes to breathe deeply or call a friend. These little actions might seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they add up to big results. And remember, progress isn't linear. Some days will be easier than others, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. Experts like Dr. Michael Greger, author of How Not to Die, emphasize that diet and lifestyle choices play a huge role in preventing chronic diseases. The power to protect your kidneys and your overall health is in your hands. Before we go, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these tips resonated with you the most? Is there a change you're ready to make today? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'd love to cheer you on as you take these steps toward better health. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tips on healthy aging. Sharing this video with a friend or family member could also be a wonderful way to start a conversation about taking care of yourselves together. Finally, I want to leave you with this. You deserve to live your best life at any age. Your health is a gift, and it's never too late to nurture it. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, you have the power to make choices today that will shape how you feel tomorrow. So here's to you, to your strength, your resilience, and your commitment to living life to the fullest. Thank you for spending this time with me, and remember, small daily habits can truly change your life.